Hello folks, Fuzzy Pixels here, and it's time for a review of Iron Fist. Yes, the fourth Defender has finally turned up. Oh god. First of all, how can a show that is ostensibly about a kung fu master with magical powers have so little fighting? How is it that a show based around the personification of an immortal weapon plays out with such limp choreography, with a dusting of third-rate visual violence that offers about as much punch as an unmanned rubber glove? I mean, after the exhausting, exhilarating action of Daredevil, the perverse villainy and abuse that Jessica Jones faces down and defeats, and the powerful deconstruction of race, family, and what it means to be a hero in Luke Cage, it's a real shame that The Last Defender is given so limp an introduction as this. But before I launch into a cavalcade of grievances, I do want to touch on the things that I enjoyed about Iron Fist. Yes, there are some things I enjoyed. Jessica Hennick is fantastic. She's confident, she's assured, she commands attention during her action sequences because she's clearly more proficient than pretty much everyone else around her, and Colleen Wing is a spiky, engaging character before the writing completely lets her down in the second half of the series. The conflicted yet capable Colleen of the first few episodes, culminating in her savage beating of men twice her size in the underground fighting cages, she is a character who truly belongs in this brutal TV universe for which Daredevil set the tone. And it's such a shame that this is quickly squandered in favour of less interesting character profiles such as love interest or conspiracy patsy. Rosario Dawson is typically brilliant as Claire Temple. She is so often the audience's representative in these shows, rolling her eyes skyward with frequent abandon and throwing her hands in the air in exasperation. And even so, she too cannot escape the dreadful scripting in this show, and indeed her presence is baffling at best, not least in the episode where Danny Rand and chums skip town to go hand hunting on the other side of the world. Claire feels like a character shoehorned into many of these episodes just to try and give this series some sense of involvement with the wider universe, but that doesn't make Rosario Dawson any less watchable, not at all. In fact, some of her exchanges with Sacha Dhawan's Davos are actually laugh out loud good, and speaking of Davos, I can't help but feel that making the show pretty much all about him would have yielded a much better end product. But back to the positives. Carrie-Anne Moss is pretty good. Yeah, Tom Pelphrey manages to play a convincing opioid addict, even though that storyline kind of comes out of absolutely nowhere. And Wai Ching Ho is just superb as Madame Gao. Despite, again, the script kind of largely wasting her talents, Ho proves quietly riveting in every scene she's in, and to be honest, given the ignorance and idiocy that plagues this incarnation of Danny Rand, I often found myself rooting for the all-knowing Gao. In fact, I was pretty much rooting for anything that would make this show better, to be honest. Now, before I begin tearing Iron Fist to shreds, I do want to address the elephant in the room. Would Iron Fist have been better with an Asian American in the lead role? And the honest answer is, who the hell knows? The casting is an issue, but the problems run so much deeper than that. Now, would it have been a great opportunity? Yes, absolutely. But then every single show is a great opportunity. In some ways, I can't help but feel that making a show about a kung fu master, the crux of a discussion about Asian representation, is a little reductive, maybe. The entertainment industry has a problem with representation. That much is very, very true. But that's a problem much bigger than Iron Fist, and writing off a show before you've seen it is frankly absurd, even if it does turn out to be absolute dross. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the whole representation thing. Yes, it's a problem, but Iron Fist is not necessarily all to blame. Finn Jones is a problem though. Whether it's bad casting, poor directing, awful writing, dreadful acting, or just all of the above, he just plain sucks. And what can't be denied is that he turns in a performance that would have looked over earnest in a high school nativity play. Half of his lines are delivered in what I'm going to term gravitas whispering, made all the more ridiculous because nearly everyone else around him is speaking perfectly normally. He's stilted and awkward and stiff, and I'm really sorry, Finn, you're pretty unlikable as Danny Rand. This Danny Rand is every sanctimonious prick who ever took a gap year on daddy's money and now professes to be an expert in spirituality and vague nonsense. Danny doesn't do much for the first half of the series except spout fortune cookie homilies, mansplain kung fu to a much more competent female fighter, proclaim himself to be the Iron Fist repeatedly, and then look exasperated when asked to explain exactly what that means. Crucially, for a series titled Iron Fist, the show never really bothers to tell us who or what the Iron Fist is. After 15 years in Kunlun, you might expect Rand to have a better grasp of Kung Fu, have a tighter grip on his emotions, and actually understand how to use his powers, but it turns out he understands just about as much as we do, which is absolutely nothing. That's bonkers. He needs a member of the Hand to explain to him how to recharge the power he's spent 15 years training to use. That doesn't make any sense. And instead of giving us fight scenes where we can see the Iron Fist in action for ourselves, we get hints towards lore. And when those fight scenes finally do happen, they are as slow and awkward and bereft of impact or grace that it's almost insulting to the audience. It's also problematic that we never really see Danny's life in Kunlun. We have no points of comparison, no sense of what he's gone through, and therefore no sympathy for the man. Instead, we get an awful lot of lens flare and the looped video of the plane crash over and over again. What we do get is told more often than shown, and it comes much too late in the season. We never bond with Danny on an emotional level, and his intellect is frankly suspect, to say the least. The TV Danny Rand is possibly the least intelligent superhero I've ever seen, exhibiting a complete lack of self-awareness and common sense that absolutely boggles the mind. When Davos turns up and proclaims Danny to be the worst Iron Fist ever, it's hard not to applaud, quite frankly. And I'll be honest, at that point in the show, it struck me that the whole thing might have been a glorious postmodern setup. Given how terribly ill-suited this Danny Rand appears to be for anything, I couldn't help but wonder if watching this rich white dude with zero self-awareness fumble around to laughable effect wasn't actually some sort of meta-commentary on the whole controversy, that all of this painful pantomime might actually have been the point, that it was all a send-up. No. It's just bad. And it's not like there isn't clear precedent for how to do this well. If it's possible to make Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne and Oliver Queen sympathetic and badass, you'd think that it would be an easy task for someone with an actual superpower and a divine mandate. And that's why Jones' suggestion that Trump, of all people, is to blame for this negative backlash against the show is rather absurd. Iron Fist fails for a bunch of very simple and easy to identify reasons. 1, the main character is an idiot and a moron. 2, his superpower or background are neither shown nor really told until it's too late. And 3, he's a kung fu master who can't fight. I don't think it's really Finn Jones' fault, to be honest. I mean, he's just not the right guy for the job. The whole series feels rushed and poorly thought out and messy, and he was great in Game of Thrones. He's just not commanding enough or sincere enough to pull this off. Everything feels overwrought to the point of being laughable, and in a series that doesn't have a Foggy Nelson nor the biting wit of Jessica Jones herself to kind of lighten the mood ever so slightly, Iron Fist's po-faced seriousness only ever resulted in me laughing at the show and never with it. And it also makes me wonder how the hell this guy will fit into the Defenders. How on earth does this Danny Rand end up as best pals with Luke Cage? I mean, after this, I'm not even sure that I want to see that, but definitely do sign me up for the Colleen Wing and Misty Knight partnership. If there's one thing that Iron Fist did prove, it's that Jessica Henwick needs her own show where she can crack skulls as Colleen Wing without needing to transform into a plot device. She's sure as hell wasted here. So yeah, that's my verdict on the mess that is Iron Fist. But what did you guys think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you make of it? I gotta be honest, I was kind of open-minded at the start, and then it all went downhill from there, and by the end I was just glad it was over. So yeah, I'm going back and watching Daredevil all over again. So I'll see you soon. There are some more videos up at the side of my head. Give them a click. Give this one a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I will catch you guys in the very, very near future. Lots to come. So yeah, stay awesome. I'll see you soon. Bye.